And welcome to another episode of Sports and Songs Podcast. We've got a bonus episode tonight. Today is June 18th, 2023. My name is Dan. We've got Hall of Fame inductee Scott Van Eps joining us tonight on the show. And the Hall of Fame we're going to be talking about tonight is the Federal Hall of Fame. How you doing, Scott?
Doing okay. Thanks for having me, Dan.
So it's a federal league, and what the federal league is in the state of Minnesota, it's over 35 baseball. There also is another league for over 35 called the Minnesota Senior Men's Baseball Association, and there are a handful of inductees going into the Hall of Fame this year. Scott Van Eps, a member of the Chaska Diamonds for many years, is going in as part of it as well. Welcome, Scott. Well, I got some questions for you, Mr. Van Eps. You've been playing a long time. You're going in. And we want to have a show to talk about the Federal League and some basic elementary questions as far as the Hall of Fame goes. A lot of people out there, I still run into a lot of people, Scott, that don't really know what the Federal League is, how often we play, how, the different leagues, the various things, and a lot fewer know anything about the Hall of Fame. So that's why I'm glad to have you on the show today to ask some questions as far as how all this comes into play and whatnot. Now, how many people go in each year to the Hall of Fame on average?
Well, it kind of depends on the year. I believe it needs to be like a majority vote, kind of like in the MLB, where you get like 75% of the people vote you in. So there's been as many as 10 people voted in a year, and there's been as few as 2. So it really kind of depends on the year and how many people are voted in.
I think there's 33 or 35 teams in the Federal League in the state of Minnesota, and every team submits a nomination, I think, each year. One nomination you get to, whether you elect to do it or not as a manager of the team. You'll send in a nomination. So the board then will get all these nominations in, one for every team, and then they will do a vote. And like you said, once they reach a certain number, a certain percentage, then they get in. And that's how it goes. Now, I already know the answer to this, Scott, but there's no time or a waiting period, right? So there's the people going in are active players, much like yourself, right?
Yeah, they can be active players. There is one qualification that you have to have been with the league for at least 10 years.
Oh, I see.
So if you come into the league and you've only been like 1 or 2 years, you're not able to be nominated. But once you're past that 10-year standpoint, then you can get in.
That's it. And so the nominations come in. You got to be there. You got to be in the league playing or coaching for a team to exceed 10 years to get in. Now, Major League Baseball, for those who aren't familiar or don't know, you have to be out as a player, retired or out of the game, and then that 5-year window has to pass before you're then eligible to be in on that 6th year, essentially, to be on the ballot. Here's different. Federal League, they'll get old players. I don't mean that in a derogatory sense, Mr. Scott, but old. They get them in right away. You can also be out of the league for X number of years before you go in, or you could be current players. Now, is there a Hall of Fame location for the Federal League? Can someone go to the Hall of Fame?
No, there's no like physical Hall of Fame like the like Major League Baseball or anything like that. But they do have on the Federal League website, there is a page dedicated to the Hall of Fame members. So that's kind of cool.
I've been out there, and what I'll do is put the link to that in the description for this show, so people can get out there and scroll through. And to prepare for this show, I went through and looked at all the old the players many years back. When did they start it, by the way? When did they start the Hall of Fame?
Well, based on the website, what I saw is that I think they started it back in 1995. There's a couple players that were inducted, and I believe there was a few more after that, and then it really came back in 2006. That's when they started, really bringing it back and having like induction ceremonies and things like that. So, so it's been about 9 years now that they've really kind of brought it back.
Yeah, and I know for town ball in the state of Minnesota, there is a physical location that you can go to up in St. Cloud. For town ball has an actual Minnesota Baseball Association has a Hall of Fame that you can go, you can visit. But the other amateur leagues in the state of Minnesota, typically there aren't any. There's no funding. Who's going to manage it or set it up or whatever. So they have an induction class. They present the award winners. Everything's online. There's information to see, but there's no physical location. And the Federal League started in 1986, I believe.
It's right around there. Yeah.
And so I think it was 86, the league itself started and grew. And then starting in the late 90s and in 2000, they started up this Hall of Fame to have an inductee or inductees each year to go in, and they have a ceremony. They tie it in with the All-Star game. They have you go up and talk. Do you have a speech prepared for what you're going to say, Scott? Because they'll throw a microphone in your face and go down the line on the field, and everyone gets, I don't know if it's 2-3 minutes to talk about who they want to thank and stuff. Yeah. So do you have that prepared, Scott?
I've been working on it.
Yeah.
I haven't finalized it yet, but I've had a couple of work trips around the plane. I'll just start jotting down some notes and stuff.
Now, what stats are needed to get on the ballot? Are there statistics needed? Major League Baseball, we're all used to the benchmarks to be eligible to be nominated in to get in on certain stats for hitting and or pitching. But in the Federal League, it's really the 10 years. Is there anything over and above that they look at as far as that? Or is it more of people that have promoted the game, promoted the sport, and been a goodwill ambassador, so to say, to the league over the years?
Yeah, it's definitely not solely a stats-based award in the Federal League. They do use like other qualifications, like, how are you ambassador for the league? Are you ambassador for baseball? Are you trying to grow the league? Different things like that, being a good teammate, being nice to the umpires, that kind of thing. I don't know. Although sometimes I fall short.
I think it's all those. I've asked some questions to others about that too. And I think that's what it is. It's more of a, not a goodwill ambassador, but it's not just the people showing up to the games, taking off after the game, playing. It's helping out, working on the website, working the grounds crew, being nice to the umps, all the things that go along with the love of the game, I guess, that goes along with it. My next question is, who votes? I think we covered it already, but it's mainly the board. The Federal League has a board of directors, right?
I think to my knowledge, I think it's like some of the former Hall of Fame members, and then also some of the veterans of the league are kind of the ones who vote on it.
Okay.
I'm not exactly 100% sure on that, but that's what I've been told. So.
Awesome. Now, when is the event, and what is the cost to get in? When is the Hall of Fame event, and is there a charge, or is this free?
So the event's on June 24th, Saturday. It's up at Castle Field in Anoka.
Okay.
There's the main Hall of Fame induction ceremonies at 2 p.m. There's also an all-star game following that at 4 p.m. and then a Homerun Derby at 7. There's also going to be 3 Federal League games played that day.
Okay.
So you can also catch some, baseball action too, if you want to make a whole day of it. Chaska versus River Falls plays at 9 a.m. That's going to be an early start for us, but it'll be interesting. St. Paul Senators play Rockford at 11 a.m. And then the night ends with Lakeville versus Milltown at 8 p.m. That should be a good game. So there is no cost to it, but I do encourage people to come, and the concession stand will be open. So come and, spend some money on some food and some beer to, help out the hosts of the event, to make sure that they're, getting some of their due for putting all that time and effort into hosting.
Now, is that the home of the Anoka Grays? Is that their home field?
Yes, I believe so. Yes.
So it's up in Anoka. They move around the locations, and I like how they tie it in with the All-Star game along with the Hall of Fame, and then they have a host site, and they also have scheduled games going on. So it gets people up there. It gets people in the door to stick around and linger, to watch other things, to come up for the All-Star game, stick around for other games that are going on. You also, of course, have the Hall of Fame induction ceremony that goes on. And I like the new Homerun Derby. Is that new this year?
I believe so. I've never been asked to do it because I'm not really a home run hitter, but
So,
I think I think
so
they
do you
just started
know?
out within the last
Have
couple of years.
they announced the players for that?
I have not seen an
Okay,
announcement yet for that.
yeah,
So
that'll be
yeah,
fun. And keep in mind, this is over 35 men's league, which is all bat for the people listening here for the show. There's no aluminum bats; it's wood bats. You'd be surprised
yep,
at the number of home runs that are hit in the federal league at this age, if you will. But it's more than you
yep,
think. And a home run
yeah.
derby would be fun to watch from a spectator. I'm sure the kids will be running, retrieving the balls, much like they do with the fall balls. And so
That should be fun.
It's coming up June, so we obviously have to hope for some good weather here for Saturday. I think it's looking like it should be. Now, you're going in as a Chaska Diamond. Is that have you played any other teams, or are you always a lifelong Chaska Diamond player?
Nope, yeah, the Diamonds the only team I played for. I started with them back in 2007. Been with them
Okay.
for 15 years. Did take a couple of years off when I took the COVID year off, and then I had 1 year off for injury. But other than that, yeah, I've been playing with the Diamonds
How
ever
many
since then.
how many games do you think you've played over the years?
Oof, boy.
I suppose you could
Well,
take a guess. I suppose there's 20, 25, 30 games a year some of these federal league teams schedule. It's a
yeah,
bunch.
I'm probably close to 200 games, I would think, but in the 15 years. So yeah,
And
it's
you've
been
and as
fun.
far as positions that you've played, it's been mainly pitcher and first base, right?
Yep, yep. Every once in a while, depending on when guys are there, and I might I played a couple games at shortstop, played a few games at third, but
Sure.
yeah, the main ones are first and pitching for sure.
Now, is there any of the Chaska Diamonds in the Hall of Fame, in the Federal League Hall of Fame? How many have preceded you?
Yeah, there's actually seven,
Okay.
so it's a pretty nice number. Terry Heinz was the first Diamond inducted. It was that back in 2006.
Okay.
Doug Hansen was in 2007. Charlie Poppets in 2010. Our manager, Larry Gessler, he made it in 2011.
Oh, sure.
Uh, John Noonan, 2016. Bruce Doney in 2017. And Dan Nealon in 2018. So,
So it's a pretty good. You're in a pretty good class there with the individuals. Chaska was one of the original teams in the Federal League, was it not, or was it? They were in the first or second year, I think. So,
I think the
as far
second
as
year.
I think
Yep.
the teams, as far as the longevity, Chaska's been around. They've been the Diamonds have been a team, one of the long-standing teams in the league. So it makes sense that they would have that many in the hall. Now, what do you get? What do you get when they call you up and notify you that you're going in? You go to the Hall of Fame. You're at the ceremony. Is there a plaque on the wall you hang up at in your man cave somewhere, or what do you get what do you receive?
Yeah, I
A
think
ring?
that's what it
Is it a
is. You
ring?
get. I don't believe so. As far as
Okay.
I know, I think it's just a plaque and a certificate
Okay.
that you get, and yeah, and then you get your picture up on the wall and picture up in the Federal League website, and so.
Awesome.
But yeah,
Now the other league, do they have something similar to this? The Minnesota Senior Men's Baseball Association League. Do they have a Hall of Fame itself, like much like this, or is this what they got the idea in the Federal League by using the original league? That the Men's Senior League, I think, started in 1980, so they probably have a Hall of Fame somewhere as well. They've been around a little longer, but are you aware of anything that they have?
yeah, I've been told that. Yeah, they do. I believe do have some sort of a Hall of Fame. I'm not exactly sure how theirs works or
Okay,
where it is, but yeah, they do have one, for what I know.
awesome. Let's see. Now, let's see. My last question is, how many plate appearances do you think you've had over the 15 years? We've already asked you about the games. I'm sure it's close to
Yeah.
200, but you've stepped up to the plate probably many times over the years. There in on a Federal League field playing for the Diamonds.
Yeah, I was looking at it a little bit, and it's probably around 500 or more, a little more than that. Yeah, it's been quite a few. So yeah, when you go back and think about it, it's like crazy.
Yes,
It's
and
been
my
that
last
many.
question. Scott, is I know you played college baseball, correct?
Yes.
Up at
University
Minnesota
of
Morris.
Minnesota Morris. Yep.
Okay, so you played college ball. A lot of guys in the Federal League playing over 35 baseball usually came from town ball somewhere. They played college, or they maybe just played high school, or maybe none of the above. They get all sorts of people coming in the Federal League playing ball. Did you then go on and play some amateur town ball before the Federal League?
Yeah, I've actually played on a few teams. I started back when I was in high school. I played for the Hancock Orphans.
Okay.
On the Landed Ducks League, I believe they play in.
Yes, Landed Ducks.
Yeah, and then I played for a couple years for the Morris Eagles. And then when I moved down to the Minneapolis area after college, I played a couple years with the Cannon Falls Bears.
Okay.
And then I moved into the Park National League. A bunch of friends of mine from college that I'd known started a team in there and called the Shells Blue Sox.
Oh, really? In the PNASH, the Park National League?
Park National League. Yeah. So played there for, I think it was 7-8 years. And then we started having kids, so I decided to take a few years off. And at the time, we lived in Northfield, but since then we moved to Chaska in 2005. And I was getting the itch. Hadn't played for a couple of years, and this ad appeared in the Chaska Park Recreations letter that they were looking for 35 and over baseball players. And I'm like, I just actually met that criteria. I turned 35. So I gave them a call, and the rest is history. So, yeah, it's pretty fun.
Awesome. Fun stuff. Well, good luck Saturday at the event, Scott, and the others that have gotten inducted in or that are going in. I think there's 6-7 guys going in this coming Saturday. Scott's one of them. Scott, thank you for your time coming on the show.
Can I get one more plug in?
And talking a little bit about it. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to let everybody know, too, that on June 23rd, we're having a little beer bash fundraiser at the Schramm House in Chaska for the induction too.
So there's the craft brewery in Chaska, Minnesota, and that's where your event's going to be the night before.
Yep, June 23rd. We're going to start at 4:00. Going to be selling beers for the Diamonds, and then also some live music starting at 6. So should be a good time if you're free.
Were they going to put together a special brew for you guys?
We are going to have our own keg that we'll be selling. We'll be calling it the Diamonds Ale for that.
The Diamonds Ale. Okay.
Yeah. So I'll be good.
Well, I hope to get down there, Scott. But thank you for the time. Good luck on everything. As a former teammate, I'm glad you're in as well. Always a good guy, good teammate to have on the team. So much appreciated.
Appreciate it, Dan. Thanks.
All right. Good luck Saturday with your speech and everything. Hope everything comes out okay. All right.
Thank you.
See ya.
See ya. Bye-bye.
All right.